Prime Minister Trudeau, I think, has made a huge mistake. He has made allegations in a manner which he hasn't been able to back. There's two possibilities here. Either he was shooting from the hip and he doesn't have the evidence to support the accusations he made against the Indian government, or there is something there, in which case he needs to explain why his government was sheltering a terrorist with blood on his hands. Well, as a former consumer of intelligence, I can say that oftentimes the intelligence we see, whether it's a telephone intercept or something else, isn't as black and white, isn't as cut and dry as oftentimes politicians want it to become. I mean, certainly that was the case with regard to the Iraq War. So when you have a situation like this, perhaps Prime Minister Trudeau raised the issue, but there wasn't necessarily consensus on what it meant. And regardless, let's not fool ourselves. Hardeep Singh Nijjar was not simply a plumber any more than Osama bin Laden was a construction engineer. He had blood on his hands through multiple attacks, and therefore, while Secretary of State Blinken may after the fact say that the United States will always stand against transnational repression, we're actually being hypocritical if Secretary Blinken makes that statement, because after all, what we're talking about isn't transnational repression, we're talking about transnational terrorism, and what the United States did to Qasem Soleimani and what the United States did to Osama bin Laden is really no different than what India is alleged to have done in this case. I'm not sure that the Allies are convinced with Trudeau's theory, or that they interpret the importance of the matter to the same degree that Justin Trudeau does. First of all, let's give one analogy. When Jamal Khashoggi was killed in Istanbul, the Turks were able to provide intelligence support right away, which is why the world rallied around Saudi Arabia in this case. But Justin Trudeau, again, he seemed to have shot from the hip. He hasn't been able to release any definitive intelligence, and as time goes on, it raises the question about whether there's any there. When Justin Trudeau says, "Trust me," no one trusts him in the best of times, all the more so against the backdrop of an election campaign he's presently losing. And so this is the reason why there is such great doubt or caution on the part of the United States and the other Five Eyes community. There's a much greater danger for Canada than India. If Canada wants to pick a fight, frankly, at this point, it's like an ant picking a fight against an elephant. And the fact of the matter is, India is the world's largest democracy. It's far more important strategically, arguably, than Canada is, especially as concern grows with regard to China and other matters in the Indian Ocean basin and in the Pacific. So first there's that. Second of all, again, while Justin Trudeau might want to make this a case of human rights, the fact of the matter is Nijjar isn't a model one wants to use for human rights. Nijjar may have been involved in the assassination of a rival Sikh leader just a year ago. At the same time, he has blood on his hands through multiple attacks. He entered Canada with a fraudulent passport. And the fact of the matter is, this is no Mother Teresa we're talking about. And frankly, many in the United States security community, and I believe actually many in the Canadian security community, probably understand that Justin Trudeau has gone too far. So this isn't a fight he wants to have. I suspect that the United States doesn't want to be pinned in the corner to choose between two friends. But if we have to choose between two friends, increasingly we're going to choose India on this matter, simply because Nijjar was a terrorist, and India is too important, our relationship is too important. Justin Trudeau probably isn't long for the Canadian premiership, and then we can rebuild the relationship after he's gone. Justin Trudeau was playing domestic Canadian politics because as he struggles in his re-election campaign, many Sikh activists are in crucial swing districts. But again, this isn't something unique to Canada. If I look back at American political history, Donald Trump talked about not only building a wall with Mexico, but making Mexico pay for that wall. That was for domestic political consumption, but it had tremendous ramifications within American foreign policy. Perhaps Justin Trudeau basically pulled a Trump out of the hat. At the same time, if I want to go back to 2008, when Joe Biden was a senator, he wanted to criticize George Bush's custodianship of the Afghanistan war. And so he launched a broadside against Hamid Karzai, who was at the time Afghanistan's president. Well, when Joe Biden became vice president and then went to Afghanistan, he found that what he had uttered for domestic political consumption in the United States had actually found resonance with Hamid Karzai, and U.S.-Afghanistan relations plummeted because of it. I mean, I think Justin Trudeau was acting as a politician. He was very short-sighted, and no one should trade their short-term political convenience for the long-term relationship with the world's largest democracy.